Imagine this, you've finally paid off your HDB after 25 years. No more monthly installments. You feel relieved because you own your home outright. Then one day, you decide to sell it. Your agent tells you a large portion of your sales proceeds has to go back into your CPF. Your first reaction is usually, where did my money go? Or worse, did I lose money? I've seen this reaction many times over the past 18 years. The truth is, most HDB owners aren't shocked because they lost money. They are shocked because nobody explained how CPF actually works. Today, I want to change that. Let's start with one important mindset. CPF isn't free money from the government. CPF is your money. It's simply being set aside to help you with retirement, healthcare, and housing. When you use CPF to buy your HDB, you are actually borrowing from your future retirement savings. Think of your CPF ordinary account like another savings account. If your money stays inside, it earns interest every year. But when you withdraw it to buy a property, that money is no longer inside the account, which means it no longer earns that guaranteed CPF interest. That's why CPF keeps track of everything you've withdrawn, not to penalize you, but to ensure that when you eventually sell your property, those retirement savings are restored. Once you understand this, its entire CPF return starts making more sense. Imagine this, you fully paid off your 5-room HDB, no more housing loan. You've owned it for more than 15 years. Sounds like you're ready for retirement, right?
Nice.
That's exactly what one family thought. They had one simple plan: sell their 5-room flat, right size to a 3-room flat, free up some cash, enjoy retirement. The husband was the sole breadwinner. For years, every single mortgage payment was made using CPF. Not a single dollar of cash went towards the monthly installments. On the surface, everything looked perfect until we sat down and ran through the numbers. As we calculated their sales proceeds, one figure kept growing. CPF used 440k plus CPF accrued interest 200k. The amount that had to be refunded back into their CPF account had grown so much over the years that it had exceeded the valuation of the flat. The flat was eventually sold at 500,000 and that was at valuation price in 2020. More than 150,000 CPF loss. The husband was completely stunned. That amount could have been part of his retirement. He had always believed that once the housing loan was fully paid, the home would become his retirement nest egg. Instead, a significant portion of the sale proceeds just disappeared into thin air. The most difficult part wasn't the numbers, it was what those numbers meant. Retirement was no longer possible. He had no choice but to continue working because the CPF savings available for retirement were no longer sufficient to support the lifestyle they had planned. This is exactly why I always remind homeowners, paying off your housing loan does not automatically mean you build retirement wealth. If your entire mortgage has been funded using CPF for many years, accrued interest continues to grow in the background. It's not a penalty. It's simply the interest your CPF savings would have earned if those funds had remained in your CPF account. And if your property's growth doesn't outpace the amount over time, the impact can be significant when you eventually sell. Now, let's talk about the term that scares almost every homeowner: accrued interest. It sounds intimidating, but it's actually very logical. Let's use a simple example. Suppose you withdrew 200,000 from your CPF to buy your HDB flat. If that money had remained in CPF, it would have continued earning interest year after year. Since you chose to use it for housing instead, CPF simply records the amount of interest that could have been earned. That's called accrued interest. Notice something important? Nobody is charging you extra money every month. Nobody is sending you a bill. The interest is simply an accounting record so that your retirement savings can eventually be restored if your property is sold at a sufficient price. It's not a bank penalty. It's not a hidden fee. It's part of how CPF protects your retirement. One misconception I hear very often is,
Nizam, if CPF accrued interest is so high, shouldn't I be stopping using CPF completely?
my answer is not necessarily. Using CPF isn't good. Using CPF isn't bad. It's simply a financial tool. Like any tool, it depends on how you use it. For some families, using CPF allows them to keep more cash for emergencies. For others, using some cash helps preserve their CPF for retirement. Neither approach is automatically correct. The real question isn't, should I use CPF? The better question is, how does this decision fit into my long-term property journey? That's completely a different conversation. Sometimes people become so focused on reducing CPF usage that they forget something much more important. What is the purpose of buying this property in the first place? If your property grows in value over time, outperforming the interest that you have otherwise have accumulated, then your overall financial position may still improve significantly. That's why experienced homeowners don't only look at today's monthly installment, they look at the bigger picture. Is this property helping me build capital? Will it create options later? Can it support my retirement? Can it help my children's future? Property decision should always be viewed over decades, not just this month's monthly mortgage. One thing I've learned after helping many families over the years, people love focusing on one number: the CPF refund, the monthly installment, the interest rate, the purchase price. But wealth isn't built by looking at one number. It's built by understanding how all the pieces work together. Your income, your savings, your CPF, your loan, your property's potential, your long-term plans. Every family has a different puzzle. That's why copying someone else's strategy rarely works. Your property plan should be designed around your own goals. So here's the one message I'd like you to remember. Don't fear CPF. Understand it. Because once you understand how CPF works, you stop making emotional decisions and you start making informed one. Your HDB isn't just a place to live. For many Singaporeans, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. The more you understand the rules, the better decision you'll make for yourself and your family. If this video helped you see CPF from a different perspective, share it with another HDB owner. It might save them from making decisions based on fear rather than understanding. I'm Nizam from Nizam. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.